Okay, we're going to go over an article from NASA, very recent and very important in the grander scheme of the science of life on other planets and the possibility and that big question among scientists and scientific community and people who are not scientists as well. Are we alone? This is a recent article just days ago referring to a discovery last year of a biosignature. What a biosignature means is like something they discovered in the rock that has an arrangement and structure that looks like this was caused by a microbial life. So, microbial life on Earth, you can get things that are like monocellular, single-celled organisms. You think are very, very simple. However, take a fish tank, for example. That's on my mind for the next one of the next projects. Once the room is completely finished, and it nearly is, there's a few bits to do, as you've seen, may have seen on my other channel. This has been a few months of work to get this room done. This is the first time I've done a video on this channel from this room. There's two channels. The other one's a bit more random. This one's a bit more, I don't know what the word would be, a bit more controlled, I guess, a bit more tidy and not so chaotic. So updates come for all that, but let's get back on track. The microbial life in a fish tank. If you've got bogwood, if you set it up in an aquarium, one of the first things that happens, if you've got bogwood in there, or what's known as driftwood, it's all different types of driftwood out there. There's a number of things that happen where you'll get bacteria build up on the driftwood, and it's feeding on the sugars and things that make up the wood or in the wood. And there's different types of bacteria, and this is harmless. This is not like anything that's going to be detrimental to occupants that you might put in. In fact, it's beneficial, and plants may even use a side effect from it. This bacteria forms colonies and symbiotic relationships with other layers of bacteria, and the side effect is like a thin, sometimes relatively quite thick layer, this translucent, bit opaque to translucent layer of like a slime around the wood. Shrimp love it, they feed on it. So when you think about, it's just a single-celled organism, what if it's got any agreement with its surroundings? That will equal probably its survival. It's like if you look at symbiosis of things in nature on Earth, things that succeed the most are those things that utilize the resources in agreement with other living things. Yeah, for instance, there are funguses that live on the finest tendrils where the roots of trees get real fine. The funguses grow on that. That's not detrimental to the tree, that's actually beneficial to the tree and beneficial to the fungus. What it does is the capillary action that's bringing up nutrients through the root system can sometimes inadvertently gather things in that mechanism that are bad for the tree. The fungus is infusing through that root system that feeds on that thing. So it's like an immune system for the tree. Without that, the tree is going to die. It's going to get disease, it's going to get rot's going to set in, and so on. So there's all kinds of ways to think about it in symbiosis. There's gut bacteria in our gut that is not biologically human. It's bacteria that breeds in there that is having a field day because we eat. Your gut is home for this bacteria. It aids your digestion mechanism, though. It aids your ability to break down your food and get your nutrients from it. There's a huge amount of symbiosis in nature everywhere. Symbiosis means, I guess, you got a symbiotic group or something. What the one thing does, creature or otherwise, benefits the whole, and what the whole does benefits the one thing. A bee goes to a flower because it's hungry. Natural selection has exploited and took advantage of the bees coming to the flower, which now the flower has, once it's pollinated, that's the side effect of the bee going to the flower because it's hungry. It's not like the bee comes around and says, oh, these flowers need pollinating, like it's a job or something. The bee's just trying to survive, right? So, NASA says Mars rover discovered potential biosignature last year. So I think even discovering this discovery of ancient evidence, not biological life present, but ancient evidence of microbial life, I think is crucial, very important. People get so obsessed and not obsessed, so focused on the macro scale, a large scale of things. They have no idea what's going on the micro scale of things. Controls everything. It really does. And then again, you could argue those microscopic creatures are made up of molecules. Those molecules are made up of atoms. Yeah, sure. I trust atoms, they make up everything. It's the old joke. But again, we forget about the smaller scale is really the crucial, the important stuff. The important, what's going on those scales equals what goes on at the largest scale. So I think it's crucial to have this studied. I think it's if this can be proven to be, we've kind of been here before, but this time I think is a little bit different because the data they got, I'll read to you, and I find it fascinating. So they can't fully confirm yet, but it's looking promising. So I'll read to you. A sample collected by NASA Perseverance Mars rover from an ancient dry riverbed in Jezero crater could preserve evidence of ancient microbial life taken from a rock named Chiava Falls. I think that's how you pronounce it. Chyava. Chiava Falls. Last year, the sample called Sapphire Canyon contains potential biological signatures, according to a paper, and we'll go over that link. Perhaps I'll put the link below. Got the paper, and the word paper is a link. So according to a paper published by Wednesday in the journal Nature, a potential biosignature is a substance or structure that might have a biological origin, but requires further data or further study before a conclusion can be reached about the absence or presence of life. To quote, this finding by Perseverance launched under President Trump, I hate reading that, in his first term, is the closest we have ever come to discovering life on Mars. The identification of a potential biosignature on the red planet is a groundbreaking discovery, and one that will advance our understanding of Mars. Not as if Trump had had anything to do with it at the forefront of his mind. Let's put that. Let's not go off on a tangent, but just saying, all right. I mean, why you even have to mention that? Just say the year it was Perseverance were put up. This was said by NASA Administrator Sean Duffy. NASA's commitment to conducting gold standard science will continue as we pursue a goal of putting American boots on Mars. Again, you know, how does America tell you there's something wrong on every single level, psychologically, physically, and every level of America? Well, they just tell you when they talk this way. How about putting human boots on Mars? That's all I'm going to say on that. Science will continue to pursue our goal of putting human boots on Mars rocky soil. Really, I'd rather it be worded that way, because guess what? Other countries have space programs, and there is such a thing as the International Space Station. Is that still running, or is it discontinued yet? I'm not. I have to look that up and find out. But regardless, let's read on without going off on one too much. So there is a picture there of this discovery, the Mars, the journal Nature Journal, whatever it is, has more in-depth analysis of pictures. But I'll just transition this over for you. Put this in front of me temporarily and see those spots between these lighter bits of rock. We have that pebble dashing, pebble dashing. This reminds me of like slime mounds on Earth that grow over rocks, and it's like they call it lichen, I think. That can grow over like thousands of years on a rock, and it kind of dies in the middle but spreads out alive. Kind of reminds me of that, just by tertiary visual looking. But in reality, probably it's something very different. It's on a different planet for a start. So there's that. Bring myself back on camera. Yeah, so that's a picture there. Again, I'll put the links below. Perseverance came up on Chivea Falls in July 2024 while exploring the Bright Angel. Can we not use wording like that? Labels like that? Because religious nuts are good. Or extremists are just... I guess you can't avoid it anyway. You can't. There's going to be somebody. Anyway, for Bright Angel Formation, a set of rocky outcrops on the northern and southern edges of pronounce that. How do you pronounce TVA put together? There's no Neri Vallis. I am going past the T. Nereva. That Vallis. I'm just going to call it Vallis for the sake of my own sanity here. Pronouncing some of these words. And it's an ancient river anyway. Actually, look that up. Pronounce that up. See how that's said. We can find anything. His website's up pronouncing things. Yeah. Put in, say, go over the article more in a bit. Two days ago, there was a press conference on this as well. They're really considering it very important. They cannot rule out biological or microbial life. I can't find a. Have a look later, maybe. An ancient river valley measuring a quarter mile or 400 meters wide that was carved by water rushing into Jezero crater long ago. And to quote, this finding is the direct result of NASA's effort to strategically plan, develop, and execute a mission able to deliver exactly this type of science, the identification of a potential biosignature on Mars, said Nikki Fox, Associate Administrator, Science Mission Directorate, at NASA headquarters in Washington. With the publication of this peer review result, NASA makes the data available to the wider science community for further study to confirm or refute its biological potential. That's very important. Open the data up, get people who have got the expertise and qualification to analyze it. And stop putting idiots into positions where they don't have the qualifications to be in that position, like the GOP putting RFK Jr. Health Secretary. Regardless, the rover's science instrument found that the formation sedimentary rocks are composed of clay and silt, which on Earth are excellent preservers of past microbial life. They also are rich in organic carbon, sulfur, oxidized iron rust, and phosphorus. That's important. Those are ingredients that, like how life is on Earth. It will use carbon, it will use phosphorus, and all these things. The combination of chemical compounds we found in the Bright Angel Formation could have been a rich source of energy for microbial metabolisms. Exactly. Said Perseverance scientist Joel Horowitz of Stony Brook University, New York, and lead author of the paper. But just because we saw all these compelling chemical signatures in the data didn't mean we had a potential biosignature. We needed to analyze what that data could mean. First, to collect data on this rock, we were Perseverance Pixel, PIXL, standing for Planetary Instrument for X-ray Lithochemistry, and Sherlock, standing for Scanning Habitable Environments with Raman and Luminescence for Organics and Chemicals. Instruments while investigating Juveia Falls, an arrowhead-shaped rock measuring 3.2 feet by 2 feet, or 1 meter by 0.6 meters, they found what appeared to be colourful spots. The spots on the rock could have been left by microbial life. It had used the raw ingredients, the organic carbon, sulfur, and phosphorus in the rock as an energy source. Higher resolution images in the instruments found that a distinct pattern of minerals arranged into reaction fronts, points of contact where chemical and physical reactions occur. Yeah. So you get like boundaries between chemical being used and where it hits another, you get a reaction point front. That's fascinating. The team called them leopard spots. The spots carried the signature of two iron-rich minerals, Vivianite, which is iron, hydrogenated iron phosphate, and greigite, otherwise known as iron sulfide. Vivianite is frequently found on Earth in sediments, peat, bogs, and around decaying organic matter. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing elements properly. Anyway, similarly, certain forms of microbial life on Earth can produce greigite greigite, I think. The combination of these materials, which appear to have formed by electron transfer reactions between the sediment and organic matter, is potential fingerprint for microbial life, which would use these reactions to produce energy for growth. The minerals can also be generated abiotically or without the presence of life. This is a very important bit. This reads on to eliminate one of the variables of that could cause this to happen without microbial life. They haven't eliminated or been able to eliminate this being microbial life yet. So that speaks volumes. It's just even if it's found not to be, I think it's very important to consider they have the tools to go in the right direction with that. So it gets more and more promising. What have we perhaps missed even on other areas of Mars as we get better at analyzing the data? Are we combination minerals without the presence of life? Hence, there are ways to produce them without biological reactions, including sustained high temperatures, a high temperature over a long period of time, acidic conditions, and binding by organic compounds. However, the rocks at Bright Angel do not show evidence that they experience high temperatures or organic conditions, and it is an unknown whether the organic compounds present would have been capable of catalyzing the reaction at low temperatures. The discovery was particularly surprising because it involves some of the youngest sedimentary rock the mission has investigated. An earlier hypothesis assumed signs of life would be confined to older rock formations. This finding suggests that Mars could have been habitable for a longer period or later in the planet's history than previously thought, and that older rocks also might hold signs of life that are simply harder to detect. Because there's panspermia theory as well. Go and look that up. Panspermia is the theory that life originating from other planets via things moving around. I'm not talking about planets being seeded by aliens, but again, it's a separate video. Go and look up panspermia. And again, perhaps I'll put some links below in that direction for you to look up. So this is definitely a subject matter things like this that are a little bit nuanced, they're not set in stone, they're not confirmed yet, is right up the alleyway of exploratory mines. Exploratory Mines project was something that I started during the nasty side of COVID. I had to do something. And I was talking about many subjects, some theories, even a theory of the geometry of the collapse of the vacuum. You think, empty space? Or it's just a void, isn't it? How could it doesn't have any geometry? Well, yes and no. So that was, difficult to put out and explain. Of course, I'm not a scientist and not a physicist, but like many people, I have a mind that is curious about discoveries, new theories, hypotheses, and so on. So let's read on anyway. Well, I think I've lost my place. Oh yeah, high temperatures. Read that bit. Discovery was particularly surprising because it involves the entry. Planet's history previously thought, and older rocks also might hold signs of life that are simply harder to detect. Very important point. Astrobiological claims, particularly those related to potential discovery of past extraterrestrial life, require extraordinary evidence, said Katie Stack Morgan, Perseverance project scientist at NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California. Getting such a significant finding as a potential biosignature on Mars into a peer-reviewed publication is a crucial step in the scientific process because it ensures the rigor, validity, and significance of our results. And while abiotic explanations for what we see at Bright Angel are less likely given the paper's findings, we cannot rule them out. They think it's less likely that this could be biological life. They, after analysis, they think, as they've been analyzing it, there's boxes being ticked that equal it's not this thing that isn't biological. And if it was biological or microbial life, none of the boxes for that are ticked to say it wasn't. So far in their analysis, they can't rule it out. The scientific community uses tools and framework like the cold scale and standards of evidence. That's a link. Put these links below to access whether data related to the search of life actually answers the question, are we alone? Such tools help improve understanding how much confidence to place in data suggesting a possible signature of life found outside our own planet. Now there's a picture of how to go through that standard, starting with detection of a signal known to biological activity. Next step would be contamination, rule out contamination. The next step for that would be demonstration or prediction of biological production of signal in the environment of detection. Step 4, all known non-biological sources of a signal shown be implausible in that environment. 5, additional independent signal from biology. The different criteria is that there's 7 steps. I'll bring that that in a cat picture. Okay. Hold on a sec. Bear with me. I just save that desktop and then OBS. So you just get an idea. You'll see it on the link anyway. If you want to just click the links below. Can't show just yet. I need to convert the file, which is going to be a few seconds. Save as. Pop. As PNG. Right. Yeah. Oh. So this I'm going to drag in now is the. They need to go through these steps as I was reading to you. So make sure you tick all these boxes and make sure that they're on the right track, the right process. The process of elimination, very crucial in any scientific analysis. Get that out of the way. A bit more D. That's a nice cover this morning. Deal, just a bit of a pickup. So going back to the article after that image, Sapphire Canyon is one of 27 rock cores the rover has collected since landing in Jezero crater in February 2021. Among the suite of science instruments is a weather station that provides environmental information for future human missions, as well as swatches of spacesuit material so that NASA can study how it fares on Mars. Now, current day technology, there's no way you can have a future. I mean, future human missions would be I think a lot further in the future than currently realized. However, technology is exponential. Technology leaps, right? We do leap. We don't have this straight line progress. We have curves, dips and curves, but every time we plateau, we have things are quiet for a bit. We're busy trying to get inventions done and technology research and so on, and then there's a big leap. There's breakthroughs, right? So I don't know. In one perspective, I don't see it happening anytime soon, but then potential breakthroughs could happen. Out of curiosity, I mean, it's so far away. The moon landing took many months. So just searching something out of curiosity. I think I know the right number for this, but I just want to double check. Yeah, it took about 8 days from launch to return on Apollo 11. So that was 8 days. How long? How long did first? So we went from 8 days and 3 hours. First moon landing, Apollo 11, took total 8 days, 3 hours, and 18 minutes from launch on July 16th, 1969, to splashdown on July 24th, 1969. The astronauts spent about 21 hours on the lunar surface. Right. And it would take months, though, to get to Mars. It would probably 7 months. Let's find out. Because current day trip to Mars typically takes about, we got 7 to 10 months. 7 to 10 months. That means once you're there, if you, I mean, whatever the technology is at the time, if we ever do get there before we've annihilated ourselves on planet Earth via our own human stupidity, we're a crazy species. We take things so extreme, one extreme to the other, and that will be our downfall if we don't start finding a way to control that. I think pick a happy medium, a middle lane somewhere, like, or too much of one thing and not enough of another, and vice versa. It's just one extreme to another. But let's say we get to that technological prowess and are able to get there in 7-10 months and spend a bit of time there, then it's another 7 to 10 months to come back. So you got at least 14 months for a return, or 20 months. Holy crap. Yeah. Yeah, 20 months is, bar 4 months is nearly 2 years, right? Anyway, let's get back to, well, it was only a little bit. Spacesuit materials, so NASA can study how it fares on Mars. But, to build anything that is ready for humans to go Mars, I don't know, Elon Musk has talked about it, but the guy has no clue what he's talking about because he doesn't really fully understand the science. I don't. I got an excuse. I'm not a scientist. Regardless, we need like probes and robots, drones, things that can build a base on Mars before we even get there. Otherwise, it's a one-way trip. You're screwed. You need resources, and you need resources and sustenance during those months from Earth to there anyway. You need to find ways to mitigate the lack of gravity's effect on the human body. We are biologically adapted not to be in microgravity or weightlessness. We're biologically adapted to gravity known as 1G on Earth, and even while there, the gravitational level on the surface of Mars is less than that of Earth, and it does weaken the body because you might not think it, but we're constantly battling against our own gravity. Just to stand up is to use energy for your musculature and your bone structure. Just to get off a chair and stand up, you start wasting away when the effect is you're too light. Your bone structure gets weaker, your muscles get weaker because it's not required. Your body adapts. However, then you spent too long on Mars. If we become an interplanetary species, new diseases are going to come, or it's going to be called some kind of disease or something, if you think about it. And it's going to be side effects from, you're going to name it something. Microgravity, trauma, or something. It's coming back to Earth. It's like everything's going to be too damn heavy that you get easily exhausted just by walking around. You could have done things a lot faster for the time you spent on Mars. You spent too much time there. Your body atrophied. And what about the biological effects of children being born on Mars? Now, their biology, it's going to be somewhat different in terms of the body. It's still going to be human, but the adaptation to how heavy things are and their musculature, the bone density, all this is going to be very different. But could they even survive 2 days on Earth? Now you got a true Martian human Martian. Maybe, or there would be some training, some far off, this is sci-fi now, but in a hypothetical situation, you might get a Mars base where they train people to be ready for planet Earth. Not training people to be ready for Mars from planet Earth. But that's going to happen as well. That is, if we survive long enough to be a spacefaring species or interplanetary. And the only way to start would be with our own solar system and our things we can build. Now, asteroids could be raw materials to build new things, because resources on Earth might be limited in that. Certainly more resources, but raw materials you can get. And there's all these different theories. What are you disturbing? Should it be disturbed? Should out there, whatever, all kinds of, yeah, it tantalizes the mind a little, right? Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll look forward to doing the next video. There is a subject I might share today. It is the 13th, so I might put out a day of little notes back. Cheers, take care, have a good one, bye.